It's time for Movies with Mike Mayo. Our film critic Mike Mayo is serving up fresh reviews of the latest blockbusters, classics you might have forgotten, and listener requests. Movies with Mike Mayo is brought to you by Jersey Mike Subs on Wards Road, Lakeside Drive, and Timberlake Road in Lynchburg.
And so now we will go to Mike. If you want to see more Mike's movie reviews, check out his books, anything like that, go to mike-mayo.com. Mike, good morning. Welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you. It is good to be here. And just to clear up any possible confusion, I have no financial connection with Jersey Mike's Subs besides the name, other than the fact that I have bought an awful lot of them because I love them so much. But
well,
that's another thing.
Well, we'll have to see if we can do something about that. But a topic for another time is we've got two movies to talk about with you today. One is a listener request, and if you have a movie you'd like Mike to review, just text it over to us, 846-TALK. That's 846-8255, or toll free, 866-338-1059. And this week's choice from a listener was the Ninth Configuration, and I couldn't really find a proper trailer or anything for it. However, here is a bit of what is called a preview.
Captain Cutchow, Benson. In order for life to have appeared spontaneously on Earth, there first had to be hundreds of millions of protein molecules of the Ninth Configuration.
Ooh. Good gosh.
This movie is... It may not be the worst movie ever made, but it certainly deserves to be part of the conversation whenever that's the subject. It's really just very hard to describe. The little bit you played there is representative, but it's also, there's an awful lot else going on. It was made in 1980, and it's written, directed, and produced by William Peter Blatty, the guy that wrote The Exorcist. And this, he claims, is dealing with some of the same subject matter, though that's not really true. The opening shot, first thing you see on the screen, is a castle in the rainy Pacific Northwest, and it's really very, very rainy. But the theme song that you're hearing over this shot before the credits roll is about a country western song about going back to San Antonio. What that has to do with anything else, I don't know. But then it could be that was explained later. I watched 30 minutes of this movie, the longest 30 minutes of my life, and I just couldn't take any more because that castle is filled with soldiers who are insane. It's the Vietnam era here, and they're played by a really solid group of character actors. You know their faces, but not their names. Neville Brand, Stacy Keach, Jason Miller from The Exorcist, Scott Wilson, Moses Gunn. You know, those guys are all very good actors, and they do the best that anyone could with this really ridiculous, silly dialogue, and they just ham it up outrageously. Not only do they devour the scenery, at one point they break it up with a sledgehammer. I'm not making that up. Now, Blatty wrote about this. He said, when I was young and worked very hastily and from need, I wrote a novel called Twinkle, Twinkle, Killer Kane. Yes, with an exclamation point. Its basic concept was surely the best that I ever created, but what was published surely no more than the notes for a novel. Some sketches, unformed, unfinished, lacking even a plot, a perfect review of the movie.
You know, so Mike, is this something that gets made because it's that guy who wrote The Exorcist? So
pretty much, yeah.
Really?
I think he probably took all the money he made from The Exorcist and put it into this.
Oh, that's a bad move.
Yeah, it's definitely a passion project. I mean, that's clear, and often passion projects, the passion doesn't really come across.
And now we should note, if you want to see this, it's all over the place. If you've got Plex or Freevee or Pluto, you can watch it free or free with ads, or if you want to pay for it, you can get it from Amazon or whoever. But it is all over the place, and I'll tell you, there must be 10 versions of it on YouTube. So
yeah,
if you want to watch it, it is not difficult to find. But you talked about a passion project, and that is, I think, probably the opposite of the next movie that we're going to talk about here, called Taking Chance. Let me play a little bit of the trailer for that.
Sir, last night I read the DOD announcement about EFC Phelps. I would be honored to escort him home. Being picked up at 6.
Tomorrow morning?
It's a little unusual for an officer to escort a PFC.
Yes, sir. I know that, but I would very much like to do it, sir.
So that's how we get started.
Yeah, and that was Kevin Bacon, and he is playing Colonel Mike Strobel, a Marine colonel. The film was made in 2009, set in 2004 during Operation Iraqi Freedom. And he chooses to accompany a body home, a young man, Chance Phelps, who was killed in Iraq. And initially he does this because he is working in that department, cataloging the casualties, and he sees that this young man was from his hometown. As it turned out, the family moved, so he's not going back there. But for that reason, he decides that he wants to accompany this. And as the clip said, very unusual for a colonel to be accompanying a PFC. But then the film is simply the story of how he did that. And this, by the way, it's based on the report that the real Colonel Strobel wrote after he had done this. So essentially, this is fictionalized nonfiction. This is really what happened. This is not a movie with conventional good guys and bad guys. It's telling you what happened from the time the body was prepared at Ramstein Air Base, then flown to Dover, Delaware, where Colonel Strobel met it, and then followed it on the various flights heading out to Wyoming, and finally the drive to the young man's small town. We meet a lot of people along the way, pilots of different airplanes, flight attendants, fellow passengers who all have something to say or, comment on what's going on. It is not the kind of thing that is normally considered entertainment. I was fascinated by it. My wife and I watched it one night, and then the next night we watched the extras that are on the DVD. And by the way, I recommend the DVD over any of the streaming services simply because of those extras. They're very good. They're little promotional films showing you some of the real people involved. And they really do kind of give you a little more explanation, because if there's a flaw to the film, it is that it is too brief. Really does not try to go deeply into personalities involved. It's trying to show you what happened and the true reverence which the services take with helping to finally treat the fallen ones with the respect they deserve. Again, not conventional entertainment. I was moved by it. I was crying by the end of it, and I imagine most viewers will too. Again, it's on most of the streaming services, but I really do recommend the DVD if you can and get a copy of it. Like I say, it was just, for me, it is kind of a passion project to talk about it, because I think this is a really good movie that has never gotten the publicity it deserves. It showed it at Sundance, and it was made for HBO, so it never really had theatrical distribution.
Yeah, and Kevin Bacon won a Screen Actors Guild and Golden Globe for his performance here. And you talk about it; it shows what happened and how the body is treated and the reverence and everything. It has sort of a procedural
Yes.
kind of aspect to it, but it's also maybe it's not quite reverent. It's very studious and not taking sides one way or the other over the war, and just kind of showing you what happened and the reaction of people as Colonel Strobel accompanies the body across the country. And I thought in its very own understated way, it was really quite moving as a film.
Yeah, and you're right. It doesn't take any sides, and Strobel, says at different times, that he, as an officer who has served in the field before, feels guilty for not being there now. But at the same time, we know he has a wife and kids at home, and this is the stage of life that he's at now, and his guilt is, I think, understandable, but also not really anything he should feel guilty about. It's again, I feel like I'm fumbling for words here because I like this movie so much, and I really want everybody to know about it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth your time to watch it, and it's streaming in plenty of places, whether it's Amazon or Apple, or if you've got Max, or Disney or Hulu, you can watch it just as part of it. Otherwise, you might pay a little money. But once again, as Mike says, you get a lot of extras if you are watching the DVD. But however you do it, it's very short. It's not even 80 minutes long.
Right,
so
78, I believe.
Yeah, so it's not as though it's going to take up your entire day or anything like that. And it is by Kevin Bacon, a very good performance, and a guy who I just kind of think of as sort of, just another actor who's in a lot of things. In this, he really is. He's very good.
Oh yeah, and I didn't. Thank you for reminding me about the Golden Globe and Screen Actors Guild. I didn't know that, and he certainly deserved it, because this is not the kind of performance that is normally given awards. It's much too restrained and respectful to get it's usually the big showy roles that win big awards, and I'm glad he did win something for this, because it was clearly something that he made with his heart too.
Yeah, and so once again, it's taking chance. It's not too hard to find, and definitely worth your time to watch. Mike, thank you very much, and we'll talk again next week.
Take care, guys.